So let's look at Ethereum slash the US dollar. Okay, and of course, do your good deed of the day by liking and commenting. So here is Ethereum US dollar 102% here from the 52-week low, 49% away from the highs. So we are still far away from the highs, but there's definitely is a recovery in development. So here is the long-term chart for Ethereum. We do have a breakout above a lot of prior resistance levels. So let me just draw it in. So this problem area is cleared. These issues here as well. So we've made a lot of progress. A nice hammer candlestick here, which is also bullish. However, these levels haven't been cleared yet. So let's look a bit here at RSI and PPO to see whether... Yeah, so looking at weekly RSI, we are not overbought yet. So that's bullish. Also, the PPOs look... they have upside, so there's no like reason to panic. Looking at daily data points here as well, during previous rallies, we went higher, but there's been quite a few rallies here where we did actually run out of momentum close to these levels. So on the daily data points, there is a bit more a risk, but it could be that we're just going to like... So let's say that we go a bit higher like this, but then we start to become a bit too overbought. And let's say if we do pull back to these prior resistance levels and use them as support, then it's not really a big deal. It's just, to be expected and part of the expected, dynamic of the market. But yeah, we are still far away from the highs we had back in 2021, and this looks good. So yeah, a lot of people are now flocking into cryptocurrencies because of the massive sell-off that we have seen in asset classes that people thought were, more safe. So yeah, this is sort of like the outside of the box alternative. So let's go into my notes now. So the thing is that we do have a breakout. Yeah, so let me write horizontal breakout like this. Horizontal breakout. So that's bullish. Given the current context where we have seen the breakout, I will give the bulls a 4. We did see some tendencies of getting a bit close to overbought on the daily data points. So as far as timing a trade, if you are still in your Ethereum, good for you. If you do not have a position, is this a good time to buy Ethereum? Well, there usually is a bit more upside, but it's what usually works for bulls is to buy low and sell high. So ideally, buy on a red day and not on like a big green one. But let's look a bit here at the seasonality here for Ethereum. Okay. So we have the line chart view here to the left over the last 5 years in green, 7 years in blue. Very bullish seasonality into early April. Looking at the table view, March is, if you look at the sum, 179%. It's a relatively strong month. You can see that January, February, March, April, May are some of the strongest months for Ethereum. So April and also May are decent months. So overall, the seasonality here is rather favorable to the bulls. And on top of the seasonality, you do have a context that is favorable to cryptocurrencies. And also more generally, just favorable to alternatives to the financial system. So let me just write something here in my notes. I think I will give the bulls a 7 here on the seasonality. This is really decent, a decent period for Ethereum. So yeah, it's bullish. I don't like to give a fundamental rating on cryptos because they are a bit too disconnected from mining. Back in the day, it was more about mining, and but now there's way too much layers of sentiment that is disconnected from the fundamentals, and that is especially the case for cryptocurrencies. If you look at like a stock, fundamental analysis is a very big driver of inflow and outflow into a stock for obvious reasons. Which means that if you do give a rating on the fundamentals, it is actually a predictive of future developments. But in this case, with Ethereum, it becomes noise and could just, yeah, it becomes too messy. Okay, let's look at relative performance. Long term, there is a 90% positive correlation with the S&P 500. That's very strong. There is a 4% correlation with gold and 35% with silver. Short-term correlations, we are at 37% with S&P 500, so huge difference. 41% with gold and minus 11% with silver. So the strongest correlation long and short term is actually, interestingly, with the S&P 500. It's because both of them are perceived as... It's kind of odd that I don't get more data. Okay, here it comes. Okay. So both are perceived as sort of risk-on assets. However, the context now with turmoil in the monetary system, it's different because cryptocurrencies, they are sort of alternatives to it. However, just because they currently are doesn't mean that the powers that be will accept it being and acting as an alternative. Okay, so that's something to just be aware of, is that if we do see a lot of momentum now for cryptocurrencies and they actually start to compete with the fiat monetary system and even the precious metal system, because a lot of people think that if you go into precious metals, you're really sort of being a rebel. You're not. The powers that be are definitively into precious metals, especially gold. So it definitively is peripheral to the financial system, but it's not a full-fledged alternative. As such, I do think that there could be a very substantial crypto currency crackdown if we see it actually become a serious competitor. So that's something to just be aware of. But anyway, here's the S&P 500. Not like a big panic in the market. Seems like it's sort of digesting the change. Looking at the seasonality, it is favorable. So the context here for the market is decent. You see here that March is it's more green than red, but it's not like a strong month for the bulls. But April is very strong. So if you are a bear and you want to short the market, and you look at April, you're like, oh, I'm not too sure about shorting heading into April. However, maybe April, especially May, if you look at the table view for June, it's a pretty good month to be short getting when you go into May. Okay, so let's now compare Ethereum with the S&P 500, like that. Ethereum USD, like that. Used one from Binance, calculated by trading view, then the SPY. So we do see that Ethereum, it's, so what's happening here with the chart? It's, okay, like that. That's messy, okay. So, here you can see that Ethereum is breaking out vis-a-vis the S&P 500. We are not overbought yet either, so could be more left here. We do have an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is also bullish. It could mean that a longer term, Ethereum will outperform the S&P 500. Looking at dailies, we are elevated on RSI, so Ethereum, it's been outperforming the S&P 500 for, quite a few days now. Given the longer term history of this pair, there is a tendency for there to be givebacks, just a natural sort of inhale-exhale dynamic of the pair. But yeah, it could be more left. There's been periods before, many times, frankly, where Ethereum really got when it started to build momentum against the S&P 500, it could actually go much higher. Looking at the seasonality here to the left, very, very bullish in favor of, well, it is pretty bullish for Ethereum heading into late March, but then you do see that there is a bit of a period between late March and mid-April where sort of Ethereum shuffles a bit sideways against the S&P 500. But then here, as we go into mid-April and into early May, you really see Ethereum come into its own. March, bullish month. April, also pretty bullish. May, pretty bullish. June, weak. So if I were to give the score here, I do think that this is... I will give the bulls a 6 overall. This is good. Ethereum is very likely to outperform the S&P 500. However, you do have the caveat that we already have seen gains for Ethereum. So this is not like getting in early in the move. We have a 5.7 here in favor of the bulls. We do have a horizontal breakout. There's good reason to expect more momentum here for Ethereum, but this isn't like a spectacular entry opportunity. It's more like if you have a position in Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies that are very strongly correlated with Ethereum, then this is a good time to still be involved. But as I said during the technical analysis, I would not be shell-shocked if we do see some give back. Doesn't have to be big, just a bit of a cool down, a bit of ebb and flow of the market. People take profits. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people sell, and one of the most bullish reasons for people to sell is that they have profits. That's sort of like happy selling. So yeah. So given that we do have some time left, let's look at securities that are somehow related to cryptocurrencies, sort of like they are mentioned in the same discussion. So let's look at some meme stocks. It's been some time since they've been in the news. Here is GameStop Corporation. This is interesting. This is very much interesting. We do have a double bottom here. Okay, that's it's bullish. Very far away from the highs for sure. Looking at the dailies, this is a nice double bottom because you don't have a big move yet. So let's explore this one a bit further. Ooh, the seasonality is, well, it's bullish, but it is really bullish from early April into May. Looking at the table view, 14% loss so far for March, but that is the second worst March so far since 2018. So looking at the average here, it's an interesting contrarian opportunity. Statistically speaking, March usually is better. April usually was very bullish. However, especially 2022, 2019, very red. 2020, very green. May is definitively not a bullish month for GameStop. But yeah, this is interesting. It's a double bottom. Looking at the fundamentals, we still are pretty low on price book. You could make the case that we are at the double bottom on price book. You also have support back here as well. That was a good time for the fundamental analysts to consider GameStop. Price to sales also low. Price earnings is a bit higher. Let's look at the analyst price targets. What are the forecasts? See on supercharge. What is that? Let me just have a bit of a look. I haven't heard about supercharges. Huh? Okay, I have no idea what this is. See on supercharge? Supercharge. Okay, okay. Here are the forecasts. You do see that. Yeah, I mean, there are 2 analysts with a 1-year price target. That is not a lot of analysis. I mean, the reason is that, there's been, a lot of... the people who did analyze GameStop before. They had a mob coming after them, so that could be a reason here. But anyway, the average price target is bearish. Minimum is 68% below us. Max is 20% above us. The overall rating is a sell. Yeah. Okay. The analysts are not bullish, but I do think that given that we are at support on the fundamental indicators like price book and price to sales, that's bullish. So to sum up, we looked at Ethereum. Definitely some interesting opportunities there, especially if you do get a pullback, but that's no guarantee. No guarantee that you get a pullback. When Ethereum really goes on a big move, it could also trigger a bit of a short squeeze, because if there are shorts now assuming or basically gambling on the breakout being a failed breakout, and if they are wrong, then they have to cover their shorts, and there could be a very big move. Looking at GameStop, it was definitively interesting from a bullish perspective. Technicals, nice, pretty good, nice double bottom, not perfect, but nice double bottom. So you have a clear stop level. Seasonality was interesting, and also you had support on the fundamentals, which is a very interesting constellation there. So yeah, whatever you do, of course, you do want to let the trend be your friend, and go to diamondarm.com.